This is a documentary of our intrepid trip through China, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan and Russia in 2006. We are Roger and Maya from Auckland, New Zealand. This trip was part of our travel to Europe for our niece's wedding in Germany. Instead of the usual flight across Asia, we thought it would be fun to travel overland on the old Silk Road trading route. We decided to go with Intrepid Travel, as we like their style of small groups, having a knowledgeable guide, particularly in countries where there were potential language difficulties, and getting the most out of limited travel time. This was our first Intrepid trip, so we weren't sure exactly what to expect. Our first meeting point was the Harmony Hotel in Beijing. We asked the driver where to get off, and not too sure, we alighted in a busy street. No sign of a Harmony Hotel. We eventually got hold of a taxi driver who could read the name of the hotel, and he drove us some 20 kilometres to get there. Not a very auspicious start for our journey. As we arrived a day early, we decided to have a look around the local area on a rather wet, warm day. We had the next day until 6:30 p.m. when we were meeting the Intrepid tour leader, so we set off by taxi to the Marco Polo Bridge.
Every single line is different, and I think there's about 400 odd. It was built in 1186.
Our taxi driver had waited for us, and we went off to the Temple of Heaven. This was a 267-hectare park, walled with a gate at each end of the compass, where the emperors used to go to worship heaven and make sacrifices for good harvests. That evening, we met our fellow group members, Andrew, our leader from the UK, Gladys, a Canadian, and 5 Aussies, Alison, Naomi, Christine and Danny, and Ross, which together with us made 9. The next morning we travelled for 3 hours by minibus to the Great Wall at Simitai. It was 32 degrees C and very humid, so it took a fair bit of effort climbing all the steps. The wall is over 4,000 miles long and was started in 220 BC. There were 135 watchtowers in the Simitai section, and our task was to make Tower 8.
Getting there, not far to go. Looking up to tower number 7, 8 and 10.
quick shower at our hotel and we were off to an acrobatic show, which was stunning, and right up there with Cirque du Soleil. To cap the evening off, it was Peking duck for dinner.
Here we have badminton in Beijing, early in the morning, the local park, with Tai Chi.
After exploring the local park early in the morning and walking around the Hutong, we caught the underground train into Tiananmen Square and the Forbidden City.
Tiananmen Square.
Alright guys, maybe a bit here.
That's where Chairman Mao is buried. And this is the People's Congress, which can seat up to 20,000 people. Countdown to the Beijing Olympics. 726 days to go, 10 hours, 25 minutes and 16 seconds. Inside the first courtyard to the Forbidden City. And they had the Gate of the Meridian. Inside one of the older courtyards in the Forbidden City. The griffins on the corner.
So China. And for most of the fly, dragging hands.
Yeah.
Time card,
Yeah.
Mendang.
Oh, Mendang 1.
Two Mendang.
Yeah.
Two
Right.
That evening we were catching the overnight train to Xi'an. We had to catch 3 taxis to the station, and our taxi got stuck in the traffic, and we missed the train. We phoned Andrew and said we wouldn't make it, so he put the others on the train and stayed to help us catch a later train. Unfortunately, it had no sleeping cabins, so it was a squeeze in with the locals. Still, it was delightful learning Chinese from some school kids and experiencing local train travel.
How old?
I don't know the meaning.
Oh, you say there's a very old lake
Yes.
in Baoding.
Yes.
How old?
About 100.
100 years old. Oh, that's very old.
It was a long night on the train, with people coming and going during the night when we stopped at stations along the way. Some of them even tried to move us out of our seats, so we had to fight to stay put. We didn't arrive in Xi'an until 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. We were glad to get to our hotel and shower before going out for another exploratory walk.
So how far did you get around the wall?
We We ate at a Mongolian hot pot restaurant, which consisted of a pot on the table for boiling vegetables, seafood and meats on sticks. It was delicious and cheap, and we gorged ourselves.
Here they are, the hungry fellows.
The next morning we travelled by bus to visit the Terracotta Warriors. The warriors were displayed as they had been excavated, covered by huge buildings. They were discovered in 1974 by a local farmer who was digging a hole for a well. They are billed as the 8th wonder of the world, and it was just amazing to think of who would build such an army and the unbelievable amount of work involved. After the warriors, we packed up our bags and headed for the train station for a 2-day journey to Turpan. We had 4 beds to a cabin, and the beds were even long enough for me. The train trip was across Xinjiang province, which borders Mongolia, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, India and Tibet. Apparently it has great wealth in oil and minerals, and there are a number of industrial-looking towns we passed through amongst the often desert-like countryside. Every now and then there are dirt walls and houses in a walled complex, and we'd see both men and women working along the track.
Morning train stop for replenish of supplies. Train stop just before our second night. It's quite a long train. From the outside. Oh no, it's a very worried man. Turpan, first day going towards the market. Monument to female grape pickers.
Andrew showed us the way to a local market where people were making round naan-type bread, slapping the dough against the walls of an oven and throwing the cooked bread to be stacked. Plenty of colour and trade from the busy local people. In the afternoon, the bus collected us, along with Rezwan, a 24-year-old Uyghur woman guide, to take us to the Flame Mountains. Further up the valley, we explored Buddha caves at Bezeklik, although Maya was more enchanted with the 2-humped camels. Our next stop was the Emin Mosque, which had an acoustic courtyard where clapping would echo loudly. We climbed up the beautiful bricked minaret, before continuing on to the Jihal ruins, with a history going back some 2,000 years. After dumplings for dinner at a night market, we went to a Uyghur dancing show. The next day we were off to Kashgar on another overnight train. At the station we waited for an hour before boarding at 3 p.m. The first part of the journey was through flat moonscape grey desert and then into the mountains.
Excuse the dirty windows, but Maya has not got to the side of the train yet.
Next stop.
From Japan to Kashgar. Here we are, celebrating in the dining car on the road to Kashgar. On the rail to Kashgar. Here's our two-storey carriage. We look down the train.
We arrived in Kashgar at midday.
Quite a crowd which we're waiting for to go through the entrance.
And after a quick shower at our hotel, we went for a walk in the Muslim quarter.
Going up instead of down.
A crowd of admirers surrounding Andrew, Maya and Alison.
We came across the Eid Mosque in the central square, which is the largest mosque in China. It was built in 1442, and on Fridays it apparently has up to 10,000 worshippers. After a rest and some dinner, we came back to the square in the evening. The place was alive and men were dancing near the mosque. On our way back, we passed more ballroom dancing. Great to see such uninhibited behaviour.
The animal market in Kashgar.
What happened to Moscow's had more different shape. How small. But
Cool. Different types of goats. One didn't make it.
Look at those houses.
Going to the Great Market. Video.
You need to be outside though.
No. Looking down to the bazaar.